spirit of doing the show. Okay, so let's talk about Anaconda Druid. My Anaconda don't want none unless you know. So this is one that
Oh
I've been playing a
no,
lot. This
not
is
like
one that,
this.
yeah, yeah. So I've been playing a lot of this too, and I think Toast has been playing some. This was inspired by Frozen. Frozen posted a list maybe 5 days, 4 days ago, claiming he broke the meta or might have broken the top tier decks or something. So gave this a try, and this is a ramp druid basically that has a lot of um, interesting elements to it. Given that a lot of the great greedy cards in Hearthstone were been removed or they've disappeared with the expansions, right? And one of the things I said last week is that we just don't have enough good cards, greedy cards to really play for a ramp deck is kind of what I was saying. But then we come out with this deck, and it's like, oh my god, a lot of these things actually make sense. So, Toast, what did you notice with playing this?
Earth and Scales is really, really,
Super good, right?
really good
Yeah,
against aggressive decks like Hunter and Pirate. Um, like when I saw this deck, it's very risky, right? Because you have no early game at all. Like
nope,
you're banking on wild growth. Um, but against Pirates and against Hunter, it still works out pretty well. Like
yeah,
I don't think I lost a single game against Hunter playing this list because mostly because of Primordial Drakes. It's such a great card against Hunter. You wipe their board, maybe leave up one beast, and it's a 4/8 with taunt, right? And, sometimes they feel like, oh, I'm gonna just start rushing him down with kill command face hero power, but Earthen Scales and Anaconda, like Barnes can high roll pretty hard.
very
Barnes high
hard.
I've had turn 2 Deathwings where Innovate Barnes hits Anaconda,
Yep.
Anaconda dies, pulls out Deathwing, and it's awesome. Barnes, and Barnes can just hit Yasharaj, but with the Ball Creepers and the Moonglades and
Mm-hmm.
the Earthen Scales, your late game is insanely good, and you have to give up a lot of early game.
Yeah,
Um,
it's ramp, 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 like totally ramp,
yep,
ramp, ramp.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in the past, strategy like that kind of fails against aggro, but I think with the introduction of Primordial Drake and Earthen Scale specifically, your matchup is a lot better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jade
the
actually started earth scaling me now.
yeah,
I ran into
yeah.
like an odd Jade Druid on ladder, and they went and just earthen scaled my. I mean, their big golem into a 9/9. I was like, okay, well, I guess I don't have lethal anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That felt kind of awful.
Yeah, for those who don't know what Earth and Scale does, it gives +1/+1 to a minion, and then it gives it gives you health that's the same as the attack on the minion, including the
Chopper.
+1. Yeah, including the +1, so you get that extra one from it too. But yeah, the Anaconda is such a huge swing turn, and it rarely misses. Like I rarely don't have a minion that's ready to go when my Anaconda dies. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's just really I don't know. It's been super impactful. Of course, those two cards too, Primordial Drake. I actually dropped one just to try things out because I dropped one to play Black Knight just because I was playing against so much Taunt Warrior, and it actually works pretty well against Taunt Warrior if you ever want to try that. But Deathwing, I feel like Deathwing has a really good place right now too. It anytime you need it, right? Like if there's just crazy hunters or there's just whatever mid-range deck you're playing, elemental mid-range, slap down the Deathwing, and you at least got a
Mhm.
shot, right, to finish games. So I think Deathwing might be it might be one of those prime times for Deathwing, just where it's super good in my opinion. The other change I made was I tried Lunar Visions instead of Nourish. I don't know what your thoughts on that are, just because I wanted to get stuff because, like you said, there's no early game. So if I can get stuff a
Mhm.
little bit earlier with Lunar Visions, because it gets a 2 mana discount, then it's nice. I can play a Bog Creeper a little bit earlier and things like that. I don't know. What do you think the difference is?
Um, Hard to say. Like I like to use Nourish for ramp,
Mhm.
every now and then because like you essentially that 2 mana is permanent versus Lunar Visions where the 2 mana, if it hits some big guys, it's great, right?
Yeah.
But like you don't, your mana crystal doesn't ultimately go up. But I can see that working out. For this, I never feel like I need card draw. There has been some occasions where like, oh, I'm running out of steam, but because what you're dropping is big drop after big drop after big drop, a lot of times you just don't need that much cards. I haven't tried Lunar Visions, but I imagine like if you turn 5 Lunar Visions and hit your Primordial Drakes, you can play next turn, right, and really put a stop to um like any aggro decks. But
Yeah.
obviously with Lunar Visions, always a risk because you
Yeah, I
might just
think
hit spells.
I think Lunar Visions is a great draw spell for specifically combo decks like Aviana Shenanigans because the discount can be used on those combo pieces. But the moment you're talking about ramp, I feel like the ramp effect on it does not match, and the draw as well doesn't really match to Nourish's just flexibility and
Yeah.
permanent ramp.
Yeah, it's
That's
definitely something I was
and I've
just
tried
trying
both,
out,
but
just to
yeah.
see if there was any
Hmm.
difference. And I was using it too when I had a version of this that were ancient ones. I was like Hemet and ancient ones and face manipulators. It's
Okay,
really
okay,
fun.
that's
It's
cool.
actually really fun, but of
I
course it's
like
not as
that.
good as this. Yeah, but Hemet works out great whenever that's the case. It's just the only bad thing about Hemet is that it's a obviously Earthen Scale is like huge in surviving and you lose removal. Basically, all your removal is under 3, except for swipe, I guess. But yeah, overall, it was more fun than it was good. But ancient one, man, it's getting those 30/30s are nice, and you can like copy them and get two 30/30s.
Yeah, there's a lot of
good
fun
stuff.
stuff to
Yeah,
do with Ram Druid. The moment you're
yeah,
like you're unlocking your mana nonstop,
mhm,
I think it's pretty good. One of the
yeah.
cards that I saw get some play in this deck was actually Cairn
Really, I see.
being
I
played in the
haven't
deck.
played Karen at all yet in this deck,
Yeah,
so it's
it was just played because it's one of those guys that lets you curve out more nicely on 6. Because you've got Moonglade Portal, Black Knight,
which is
and Cairn
good, by the way.
very, very
Moonglade
well.
Portal has been amazing for me.
Yeah,
Whenever
they're I mean, it's a fantastic card baseline. If you
crazy,
combine double Earthen Scales with double Moonglade, you're staying alive. And the fact that you can heal up your minions with Moonglade can also give you execute protection against Warrior,
Yep.
can be amazing. And you get the occasional high rolls of just everything together. So I've seen some people cut Sogoth for something else because they don't want to bring out the Saga with Anaconda. They really want the big stuff. Like we're talking 12
Hmm.
12s and 10 10s. So they're playing Karen instead.
Yeah, I think Sogoth is the most cuttable card from the list I've been running. Like Sogoth is great against aggro, but you have double Primordial, you got double Earthen, you got double Moonglade.
yeah.
Your aggro matchup is set. But at the same time, it's like it's hard to think about something to replace with. I tried running Black Knight, so I
Mhm.
think I went on a 15-game win streak with this deck yesterday, and I
That's
played
good.
Black Knight zero times, even against Tom War. It's like, yeah, I mean, I could play Black Knight, but let me just drop a Yasharaj or a freaking Deathwing or Ysera, right?
Yeah, Black
But
Knight
I think,
misses too. There's definitely matchups where
yeah,
it's just dead. So
like I think against Tom Warrior, you're in a pretty good position to like. For the Tom Warrior, like I feel like I'm slightly favored, but Dirty Rat brawls can
Yeah.
really, really just run you out of resource. Like I've been fatigued by them because their brawl is just like I'm going to take out 4 of your big guys, and if you hold them, it's like Dirty Rat just is coming out to brawl. So like if they
it's
don't
true.
have like 2 brawls and double executes, your big guy smashes them. But at the same time, Stonehill Defender, there's a 1/4 taunt in the way that's eating up 12 damage. So
I've won like a very few games against them when we go toe to toe in the late game. The one that I did win that was memorable was I got the Cabal Trafficker from Moonglade,
mhm.
Mhm.
which gave me like a bunch of
I
demons,
think.
and then I could turn like my minions into. I could convert their health to higher than they were after 2 executes, so the hero power never killed it. But it's like I don't feel you beat that deck consistently enough. Like
Mhm.
I've just struggled to consistently beat it. On the flip side, once they go like off their armor plan, one hit from these 12s is
Yeah,
basically
it's
death.
true.
Like they're done. So
Yeah, I think as long as you're very careful about because the Moonglade portals are actually minions too, right? So
yep.
Yeah.
there's enough minions to even beat that, and if they lose the brawl, it's literally over, right? Like if your
Yeah.
minion stays on the board, it's like over.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a very nuanced matchup where you can't
yeah,
overcommit, but at the same
right.
time, he has a quest reward that's gonna crush you
I
late
know.
game. So it's like, do you try and put pressure on and lose the brawl, but at the same time you can't take it slow because hero
Yeah,
power. So it's like I really enjoy the matchup. But sometimes it does feel like Dirty Rat Brawl, win it or lose it
Yeah,
often.
yeah.
yeah,
It's you're
yeah.
going through the motions until they finally do whatever they have to. and then you
Mm.
sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Ah, do you win? I guess I'm done.
Yeah.
It's,
And just to kind of walk through some of the top end of this, because most of the front end is or the low end of this is what you would expect. It's a Yasharaj, Deathwing, Dragonlord, Deathwing, Ysera, Sogoth, 2 Primordial Drakes, 2 Anacondas, Bog Creeper, Moonglade Portal, and then the Nourish, and just all the ramp, and then Barnes too, and then the Earth
Yep.
and Scale. So it's a great one. It's like it's my like spirit deck because it's so greedy, and it's not even that greedy because you're able to get 2 of these big minions out at once with a lot of different combos. So it's
Yeah,
really
like
great.
when you look at it, you're thinking, "There's no way this is gonna work." You're
yeah.
taking ages. It's like it's turn 7 before you play a
Right.
playable minion. But I don't know. It's just like once you get that minion down and you're on the edge of death, Earthen Scale comes in, Moongrave comes in, Primordial Drake comes in, and just swings the game around.
Yeah.
There's been times against Hunter where I'm like, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. He's playing 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, 4 drop, and I'm just chilling. But like once the Drake comes down, it's like he's putting so much damage in, and then you follow up with another Drake. But yeah, it works surprisingly well.
Yeah, it's good stuff for sure. Okay, do we have any more? I don't think we have. Oh, we have one more last one, just a paladin. That this is our meme deck of the day. It's this guy's chose Holy Wrath paladin, and we've talked about it in theory, I think many times, but actually seeing it here, I think is a whole new level. So why don't you talk us through this?
So there was 2 versions I was running. This one was the second one, but the first version was Psycho Heavy, which is like Loot Hoarder, Novice Engineers, Runic Eggs. Like I'm just gonna draw my entire deck. But one thing I've realized with that deck is that it's very risky if you have Loot Hoarders or Runic Eggs or Mainstream Marshals, because you can't ham it as long as those are on the board.
Oh, true.
Because if you ham it and your opponent's like, oh, I'll just kill 1 Runic Egg and destroy a combo. Another problem was just doing 5 damage. This was very surprising. It's actually incredibly hard to do 5 damage running the Psycho one because of all the taunt warriors. Once the first taunt comes out, I was like, well, I can never kill him with
Right.
even if I get the combo off. So
Right.
I actually like the aggro variety more. So you run Divine Favor and Coalite Oracles instead for your card draw, but like you have a lot of pressure. Like just keep them on the back foot, get that 5 damage in, and once you draw the Hammett, it's down to
5
like
damage.
a 50-50.
The challenge of getting 5 damage off of your opponent. That's hilarious.
Yeah. But it's like
so good.
I mean, the deck itself, if you're looking to pull off the combo, I think you have a 60% chance to have it not be screwed just by deck ordering. Like if Hammett is the second last card or the last card, then the deck is dead by itself for the combo. But obviously you're playing this to live the dream. You're hoping,
It's
you
like
draw
a
Holy Wrath.
10% win rate match when it works, and that's being generous. But when it happens,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
like,
baby, when it happens.
if Hammett is the first, second, or third card and you have it by turn 6, you can just play it and then you're down to like either 100% or 50%.
oh
like,
my
I take
god!
it. I take
Hammett is
it.
3. Yeah. Like it sounds very unlikely, but at the same time, you just say to yourself, do I have Hammett by turn 6? Yes. Have I drawn both Molten Giant? No. All right. It's time to go. Either I'm gonna win this
It
or
sounds
I'm
like
gonna lose this.
that's right.
And that's a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
It's like playing Taunt
It's
Warrior.
surprisingly
except
not
you're honest
bad
about it.
either, right? It's not surprisingly not terrible either. So I like this. I think this is built really, really well because the natural aggro build of it will fight off, defend, as well as try to get that 5 in there.
There's been times where I literally just won because I just aggroed them to death. I'm like,
Feels
like you go
Murloc
Firefly, you go Bluegill, you go like Whirly. Just like, oh wait, he's just dead.
This is good.
And they're just like, God, that's freaking Murloc Paladins.
I think you need to
What
play
a
Stonehill.
trick.
Do you play Stonehill Defender in here?
No, but
'Cause
that's
it's free
actually
mana,
That's a good
right?
one.
Like
That's a
you
good
could
one.
discover some really good stuff in there.
It's super defensive too. Yeah.
It goes away with Hammett too, so clearly it would. fit.
Yeah, I like this, man. This is cool. I've
Yeah,
never really.
I mean-
I think I've played Molten Giant decks. Maybe like Crip had one like a long time ago. I played like maybe one time, but I've never
Nah, but
played
it was so
extensively.
variance heavy because
I
you
know
couldn't
it
Hammett,
was,
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So this is
I
different.
mean, if you're playing a
love it.
Holy Wrath Molten Giant deck, you're just trying to live the dream. This makes that dream very, very consistent.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah,
way more
absolutely.
consistent than it should be. But it's like you play Hammer and it's like 50-50, 30-30, 60-60, and it's awesome.
Speaking of Hemet, but while we're on the topic of that guy, there's a topic trending about how it fits in Tempo Mage and how it reduces basically your cards down to the burn that you have, like Fireballs, for instance, that you'd have left in the deck, Firelands Portal. So some
Mhm.
people have been experimenting with that, where it closes out games in that archetype. It's not meant to be just a crazy thing, but people include um, stuff like Leroy Jenkins and some of them just to make sure they have the final burn at the
Yeah.
bottom. I thought that was interesting because we've been looking for a way to use Hemet, and it seemed like outside of meme decks, right?
Well,
It's just people tried it, and it's just not been kind of
Mhm.
carrying any deck. It doesn't fit any deck particularly well, but there's an argument being made for Hemet and Tempo Mage, which I thought was pretty cool. This is pretty clever.
I mean, I knew Hemet could be used like incrementally, just as a, again, reduce probabilities of, or actually raise probabilities of you drawing certain things at the end. But the real deck building exercise was building something that abuses it, abuses it badly,
Yeah.
right? And that's kind of
Mhm.
what this is too. But that's cool. I mean,
But yeah,
it's great that
yeah.
people are trying to find ways to use it.
I think
Mhm.
the Hemet effect is actually, like Noxious says, good enough for something serious. Just to make your deck a lot better. It's just hard to find a deck where the 1, 2, or 3 drops are completely, expendable. Because obviously execute, for big examples, like you want to have your executes, right? You want to have big guys, but you also gonna need that execute down the line. But yeah, Temple Mage is a interesting thought because what do you burn? Mana Worm, which you don't want.
Yeah.
Frostbolt,
Babbling Book.
Babbling Book, Arcane Intellect. Like, there's a mix of like good stuff and bad stuff. But I think once there's a list, a good deck where the 1, 2, and 3 drops are just completely dead draws, Hammond might work.
It might be
The effect is
good.
very
It might
interesting.
be really good actually. So,
Hmm.
because that whole concept which you have here of just drawing for Hemet, just being step one into just whatever the huge play is
Yeah.
I mean it makes it simple in a way. Like it's that's what I like about it. So it's elegant because it's a simple way of playing the deck too. So, um, good stuff for sure. And those of you wondering what it is, it's Corsair, it's Bloodsail Corsair, Fireflies, Grimscale Chum, Patches, Selfless Hero, Bluegills, Galaka, Grime Street Outlier. Okay, I didn't even realize you had that in there. Hydrologist, Cold Light Oracle, Divine Favor, Warlock, Murloc Warleader, Rallying Blade, Holy Wrath, Hemet, and Molten Giants. What do you think about Hydrologist, by the way? I think that was a card that surprised me too. It's like every time, man,
It's
it's Noble Sacrifice. Like every
it's
time.
How
it's
many
actually
secrets are
really
there? Like
solid.
5?
Getaway, Kodo, Repentance. I think the flexibility is insane. Like,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're gonna know what deck you're playing against by the time you slam it down. Hydrologist against with Repentance against the Ramp Druid we're talking about is
Yeah.
insane.
Really
And
good.
also Freeze Mage and Eye for an Eye. Oh, it
Yeah.
is game
Pyroblast to their
losing. Because
face.
all you have to do is just get them to 1 health, and their ice block is completely negated. They can't ever hit you. They can't like armor up
Oh,
if you
that's
don't
true.
attack them.
That's
So you literally
true.
get them to, you pop it, you get them to 1, you play Eye for an Eye, and you just
Yeah.
You
you just
wait.
sit and wait.
Yep.
They literally can't heal. As long as you don't pop the Ice Bearer, you win. It's so, like, Hydrologist, the flexibility is actually really good.
Yeah, that's probably been my most surprising card. I know a lot of people said it was good. I just didn't really fully understand it until getting a chance to play against it a
So
lot.
it seems like there are 2 categories of cards now in Hearthstone. There are the cards you put in your deck that fetch cards that are not playable,
Mhm.
and there are the cards that are not playable that you fetch with cards in your deck. So there's like so much discovery going around that you're like, I would never play Ultrazor. I would never do that. But, if it's
But
offered to me in some fashion through an effect or another, I might play Ultrazor. And I feel like
Mhm.
that's one of these weird situations with Hearthstone where they can design Paladin Secrets not to be played, but just to be discovered with Hydrologist, for
Mhm.
instance. Does that make sense?
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's and to me that's kind of cool. I like that that's a thing, but it makes cards that let you discover stuff more and more flexible as Blizzard designs around them, or worse, depending on what they're doing, of course. But
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these mechanics, this discover, just X spells in your class. I'm definitely all for that compared to drawing stuff from your opponent's class. You know, like I'm
Right.
okay with that more. But the thing is that it's very smart design wise because it, it just increases the efficiency of your cards, you know, just whatever content you've already made. And you're going to make mistakes with some of the things. And that's what happened with a lot of these spells that we're talking about right now, is that they just, you know, were not as good as they hoped they would be, or maybe they just meant for them to be bad. But nobody plays them. Nobody picks them in arena and that sort of thing. So they're just getting unused. Well, this is a way to force people to actually use them, and you actually get some mileage out of it. So it's really smart in that way. You know, just again, with my design cap or my designer cap on, I think that that's a smart thing to do. Okay, well, anyways, guys, that's going to be it for Deck Tech today. And again, I think for the patrons, I think we're just going to go with the Druid and see how things go with that. Let me know. Maybe I'll get a poll of to see what people think. But the Druids is probably going to be the one. So plan on that if you're a patron and you're watching. But we've got a topic that I wanted to talk about real quick. We don't have that much time, so maybe spend just like 10 minutes on this. Cost of playing Hearthstone. So it's been a huge topic. I think it's been probably the biggest negative topic in terms of this expansion, and
Yep.
it being that it seems to cost a lot more to have a viable deck in the current state of Hearthstone, because you know obviously we lost all those expansions and this is the first expansion of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the decks that we see right now, at least in the first week, seem to all rely on what, you know, maybe it's quest, and a quest is a legend, or it's some type of other powerful card that, you know, is generally in the legend epic range and would require more money to craft or to even buy packs. So what are your thoughts on that generally? Do you agree that it is much more expensive?
I honestly thought this conversation would come at the second expansion of this year, because they switched it up so that there's no adventures, which is generally pretty value. So it's this, we're gonna have a second expansion instead of adventure. But I think one thing is that a lot of the cards this time around, the epics specifically, are good. Like Primordial Glyph for Mage, you know, it's good, and the quests, obvious legendaries. And so it's getting really hard to build decks without, you know, having to spend a significant amount of money. And it's hard for me specifically, or as content creators, to talk about it, because like I don't experience that anymore. Like at the very beginning of vanilla is when we played, when there's only classic packs. It's like, okay, it's so easy to fill it out, right? Because, you know, a classic pack gives you a good chunk of the collection possible. But we're still on the very same system we had, well, very similar, where, you know, it's a 40 gold quest, a 50 gold quest, but now there's, you know, 3 expansions and 1 adventure, and then the classic packs, and it rotates out in a year or 2 years. So I definitely agree where people say it's getting harder and harder. One thing about the comparison to other games, which I'm not 100% sold off. So like people talk about other game systems like Shadowverse or Duelist or a bunch of them. It's like, oh wow, check them out. They're giving out like tons of free stuff every day. But you know, people have to understand, when you're not the best, you have to do that. You know, you're not gonna beat Hearthstone if you have a worst like collection.
You gotta
process.
go cheaper. Yeah,
you gotta go cheaper.
Price
You gotta
cutting.
be like, you know, you can fill out our collection so much faster than Hearthstone. Don't you want to come over?
Sure.
And you know, it's a great strategy, but I don't think it should necessarily be a huge knock against Hearthstone, because you know they're number 1 right now in the CCG space online. But I can see why it's frustrating to not be able to stay competitive, especially with net decks being so popular right now. All right, this is the best deck. We gotta build it, and a lot of people feel like, okay, I need that deck.
Right. But that's where the recipes should have been enhanced. You know, I mean, they added these recipes, which was a fantastic idea, but they have done nothing with it since. At least from my
they've done
standpoint.
a few new ones. Yeah, they are new ones.
There's some new
ones.
What
they haven't done though is they haven't
enough.
been like telling you, hey, pay us $20 and you get this recipe, you know, for you to use.
Right.
So you have like this pre-made deck that we're selling you for on the cheap, let's say, instead of the average cost of those cards individually from packs.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, they haven't used them as a way to sell to sell cards. It's just been, here's a guideline for you to build with. I have no doubt they're gonna sell you those recipes at some point. Just, there's no
Well,
way
there
they
should be
don't.
more. There's only like 3 that are there.
Sure, but
and
they're rotating out some cards too, right? Like they're not
Yeah.
gonna because the thing is, if they what did they give us, like 7 recipes per class? Like at what point does it become, hey, here's our guidelines, the decks we know exist now, build those, tweak them, and make them better. Like the deck
Mhm.
building portion of it, you want to keep open and free, I think, without because
Yeah,
honestly, if
sure.
I get like 3 to 4 decks per class, it's gonna be pretty clear to me that there's not much left to explore, or at least it's gonna feel that way. So I like how they're done. I think the issue is really in the cost. That's the argument for Hearthstone costing as much as it does really lies in its popularity and the demand for stuff. But I don't know if we've reached that point yet where people like the monetization is made harder because people's disgruntlement with the cost is too high. Because there's a threshold you can reach past which people start not spending because their dollar doesn't buy enough.
Right.
And I don't know that
Yep.
we've reached it yet. I have no clue whether we're there yet or not, but
Mhm.
that's going to be on Blizzard's side. And the moment you see accessibility increase, it's going to be to make people feel better about it, yes, but it's also going to be to make sure that you don't leave and not spend your money again. That's
Yeah, it's a hard balance. I mean, I've quit
yeah.
game because it's like so like I used to play a lot of Destiny, but it's like expansion after expansion after expansion. It's like, all right, I it's hard to keep up, right? So I
Yeah.
just stopped playing it ever again. And I can see a lot of people like having that feeling with Hearthstone. It's like, okay, I just got this new adventure. Oh, it rotated it out. So I got to buy another expansion, which is like, $50 for like 40 packs or like $100 to get like the majority of the card. And everyone I play against have all these collection. Like it's a really terrible feeling when you have a budget deck and you lose to legendaries. Not necessarily
It's
like it's easy to focus on that, where if you lose to a legendary and you don't have that legendary, it's like I lost because he
Yeah.
had more money. Like it's not necessarily true, but like it's easy to focus on that. Like when I first started playing with my budget decks and my opponent slams down a Sylvanas or Ragnaros, I get really, really upset because such a strong card. But there's other strong cards like Azure Drake, right? But you don't really focus on that. But yeah,
yeah.
Blizzard makes a lot of money from Hearthstone. Hearthstone makes a lot of
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, I mean,
So
so for me, I think I'm torn on this, like because, all right, I mean, I think priority number 1 is having the game be in a good state, right? And that's what I feel like this expansion definitely was a big step forward in getting it there, and obviously retiring a bunch of cards too. Retiring a bunch of the expansions from previous year is a big part in that too. So there is I think having that big a change, having a lot of new content come in, and having that content cost money is going to be something that should be expected. Should be, I mean, that's just what you should expect. You shouldn't treat this game. There's a lot of people that still look at Hearthstone purely as a video game, and it's not. It's a TCG before it's a video game. Okay, guys. So we need to compare this to Magic. Compare this to some of the other ones. And
Yep.
it's so when you're talking about like some other role playing game and the just the additional content that comes out with that, it's different because this card game, the replayability of like our sessions is completely different than that. Like we're like continuing to foster like a collection of cards. And I think where it starts getting gray and where people get upset and with Hearthstone versus others like Magic is that there's no collectible aspect to these cards right now. It's like, and that's what where Hearthstone gets in trouble. If there was a collectible aspect, people wouldn't be arguing because there would be inherent value in just the cards. But it being like harder to or more expensive to build powerful decks, I'm okay with that for now because I would much rather them focus on just
It's not
getting
true.
good stuff. It
It's
is
not
true. It does
No,
cost
expensive
more,
deck.
right?
Purify Priest reached rank 5 legend in Asia, and it's the cheapest deck around. Pirate Warrior is farming people with a 56% win rate, and it
Yeah.
lost literally nothing over an expansion. Like this is this argument is true if you want new stuff that's shiny, and I agree. And honestly, I think the prices in Hearthstone are obscenely high for what they provide. Like, I pay a lot. I'm a whale in this game, probably.
Yeah.
I guild up all my shit, and I buy packs occasionally just to guild up shit for fun. And I think Hearthstone prices are obscene for the average player. I think they're completely out of this world ridiculous.
Right.
But To say that all good decks are expensive is to lie to yourself and pretend like you're only bad because you don't have the right cards. Like that's not true. I guess I'm just pissed off because I'm with the F2P players on this, 100% behind them. Fight with the proletariat, communism, go. The point is, I'm actually 100% behind them, but some of the arguments that are made are completely fallacious. And I think the moment we recognize that that's the case, we can start talking realistically about how to improve this. Now, we've seen daily logins. Blizzard has been testing the waters with this. Who knows what they're going to do with deck recipes? Is it like a buyable deck I can just pay a single $20 money amount for? Is that what it is? So that's where you should be looking at, like drop rates on epics, non-duplicates. I mean, shit, I got 5 of the same legendaries in my packs, and I was missing a few. Sure, I had enough dust left over because I bought a crap ton of packs, but at the end of the day, I still ended up getting 5 of the same legendary. Like it gets, and the disenchant value of that one is ridiculous. If I get a new one, it's 1,600. If I get a one I already had, it's 400. It's a quarter of its value. Every new card I get is worth a quarter of its initial.
There's no question that the just the dust value and all those things are very archaic. I mean, it's the same as we've had since the very beginning of Hearthstone, and that needs to be adjusted. I don't disagree with that. I just think that it's one of those things where I don't want them designing from the standpoint where they have to design a powerful deck that's that's just super cheap. Like I don't want them to have to go into it thinking it like that. I would rather them or whoever's doing the pricing of all these things have to adjust a bit after that. That's all I'm saying. And generally, like we always had the zoo deck. The zoo deck was always like our out. It was like, okay, the zoo deck is cheap. The zoo deck's good, it's cheap. And the pirate deck is the same thing like now, but nobody, for some, pirates cancer, and zoo deck for some reason was never complete cancer classification. Right now we just don't have that. We just don't have that zoo deck, that mid-rangey aggressive deck that it's pretty easy to play or fairly straightforward to play at times, and a lot of people can enjoy. So it could be just a matter of time. Like I think maybe if we found that deck, then there would be less of this rhetoric that's going on right now. So maybe give it, maybe a few more weeks, guys. It's definitely possible that there still are cheap decks out there. But in terms of logins and stuff, yeah, I think, giving away free things, it just helps with engagement, helps with, getting new players. They're starting to do it more. They just need to, I think do it to another degree. Try to engage with more just the existing folks and try to get new folks too, right? So, this whole, whenever we're all opening packs and then you see things on Reddit like, oh my God, they screwed us on our legend drops and things like that. That's the kind of PR stuff that you don't want to see, right? And who knows if that's even true? Like that.
They said it wasn't. So for all we know, and based on like data, like pack openings and everything, it seems like that's not substantiated. But no matter how you look at this, like one of the reasons people play Hearthstone is to enjoy the game and play some wonky decks. When wonky cards that are fun, like Quest, and they seem fun at least, right? Like that Galvadon deck would cost me an arm and a leg to come up with and build, only to be disappointed. But the point is, if I want to build a Galvadon deck and I don't care about my win rate because I'm going to play it in casual or whatever, it still costs me a fortune. The fun stuff is, and that's probably my problem. Like power isn't gated behind price, but diversity and fun mechanics is, and that's like for a game that prides itself on being fun and enjoyable. Smashing Yetis into each other at some point gets kind of old, and that's what cheap decks tend to do.
So what do you think? You think 50% dust, like ratio, you think?
Daily logins would be better because at this point you would just alienate all the player base. They would get rage. They would get mad. Like, dude, I disenchanted my Drake for like half the dust I could have, and
Yeah, I mean,
you can't do that now. It's too late. it's too late.
Well, I don't think it's
something
ever too late,
has to happen. Something has to happen this year. Just even from a PR perspective, like an effort. Visible effort on Blizzard's part would go a long way. Like daily logins, because we're gonna hit our second expansion this year soon. In like 3 months, it used to be an adventure where everyone can pay $20, and we're all on even footing. Now it's like, all right, if you want to have the same collection as everyone, you got to shell out $100. So that's one of the great. The bad thing about Ventures is it doesn't shake up the meta. The great thing about Adventures is everyone's cost of staying on the same level is $20. Like
Right. It's
even the
very cheap.
richest person can only pay $20. The poorest person, they can pay $20. They're even. With expansion is like they introduce a lot of fresh cards and it's exciting, but there's a huge difference between some guy who's willing to pay $10 and a guy who pays $200 because he's gonna have access to all the new cards. So they kind of had stuff with daily logins this time around with Ungaro, and it was great. People love logging in. It's like 40 gold, 50 gold. Here's a
Well,
pack. Here's some dust.
Here's a card. Here's a golden card
rare
that's
where you can disenchant for another rare.
That's possibly playable too. So
Yeah.
I think that was nice.
Yeah, that was really
So-
cool.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yep. But obviously they can't do it every day at that level because it's a
Not every
lot of
day.
stuff.
I mean, that'd be.
Yeah.
I don't
that's
think it is that
unreasonable.
much, really. I mean, if you look at it, right? Like, it was the equivalent of a pack a day, right? Which is 30
Mhm.
packs a month, which is 90 packs, like, over the course of an expansion cycle. Well, 120, which doesn't
I think-
even net you, like, 50% of the cards, I think. So you still need to slap the quests on top and the daily wins. And by the end of the expansion, like, a free-to-play model would have to be about 70% of that, of those daily login rewards to be viable, because you don't want your free-to-play content. I know that sounds so backwards, but as a
Yeah, I
game
know what you mean.
developer, you
I
do
know what you
not
mean.
want your free-to-play player base to get all the content for free. There you go. I
Yeah,
said it.
Got it. got it.
This is the market reality, not what I would like to see in the world, and all the butterflies and rainbows that exist. And so you need to assume that the login rewards, if they ever do become a permanent thing, will not be as generous as they were. But they might be like 50 to 70% of that.
They could do it in a smarter fashion too. Like like most of the things that you see with logins, it's streaky, right? Like you want them engaged. You want them engaged every day. So give them some gold like each day and ramp it up, and then like maybe after a week, the 7-day streak thing. I mean, it's even Pokemon does it for goodness. Like Pokemon Go even does it, right? Like if you log in 7 straight days, you get something huge. And they could do something like that, and then if you do it for a month straight or something, you get something huge, It would suck if it's something you're not able to and you want to log in and you can't, and then people would get all ragey there. But they could do it in a more creative way too. That would I don't know, feel a little bit less bad doing on their end instead of like giving you stuff every single day. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of room there that they can, or a lot of ideas, a lot of different models that they could choose. But I think they'll have to do it because by the time the next expansion comes around, if it's like the same thing, then I think this rhetoric will be even stronger. Like the fact that it's expensive and it doesn't seem to be affecting the bottom line or the player bottom line.
No, because the whales are not the ones
Yeah.
bitching. I mean, most of them at
exactly.
least. I'm a vocal, annoying player whale on this, I guess, but most people don't care.
You're Moby Dick
It's
here.
like it doesn't. Not in my backyard. I don't care about your problems, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this on top of the whole, the price increase too, just around the world. That's not America, basically. Just exacerbates it. But hopefully they obviously know it's a big issue, and hopefully they'll fix that. Okay, well, real quick, we got one question, and then we'll wrap things up. We've got a question from our man. Actually, we got 2 of them. One from Ahmed, which is, which unplayable legendary would be playable if you can run 2? My vote goes to Prophet Valen.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know if that would be playable, even if you could run 2 of them, to be honest.
Unplayable legendary.
It might be, actually. You could do 2 turns, right?
An unplayable legendary that becomes playable.
Yeah, that's a good
Swamp
question.
King Dread. I mean, it's not even unplayable. What am I saying? It's like perfectly fine for mid range.
I don't know if it's enhanced if you get 2.
It's a weird question because you generally, if one's not good enough, 2 is probably going to make it worse.
No, I mean, it's a fair question.
No, but it doesn't have
it's
to be
fair,
Lore
though.
Walker
It's
Showbat.
like-
Actually, Nat Piggle might be like a Manatide type thing, right?
It's
Would
like
you-
it's a little bit like like we were talking about Lyra earlier, and one of the things for me is like it's good right now, but it's not quite playable because I don't want to build my deck completely around Lyra because there's only one of her. But if there were 2
I
of
see.
her, then that would be much different.
That's a
right?
good
Like,
point.
Pyros.
yeah.
Hemet
Morose? Hemet?
with two
Hemet?
Hemet.
Oh my god, two Hemets
Like with
would
two
be
Hemets,
sick,
and you can.
dude.
It's much easier to build around two Hemets than one Hemet, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
Hobart. Hobart Grapplehammer, but he's being played right now, I guess.
Yeah, he's being played.
Yeah.
Morose
He's
is not
being
a bad
played.
one. Morose, maybe.
Auction Master Beardo could be like something you build around more
Beardo?
consistently.
Yeah, like
Beardo, okay,
so that-
yeah, Beardo's
that
something.
question is like,
Yeah.
which bad legendary can be built around?
Yeah, or which
and then just-
legendary is
Spirit Singer
not being
Umbra
played.
would be
yeah.
it.
Umbra's a
think-
good one.
Yeah,
too.
Umbra's a
Yeah,
good
I-
one too. Yeah,
I think
give
she's
you that one.
awful, but I don't know why everybody was so hyped about her. Like I've played her in like 5 different decks, and every single time I'm like, "You're okay, Umbra, but you'd be better off as any other thing." Most of the time.
Yeah, like decks
So-
traditionally cards where you have to like have a board or have something set up ahead of time to make your card work. It's really hard. Like so,
It's still possible. Umbro, like if you
uh,
played that 1/1, that elemental that shoots 3, like shoots does 3 damage
3
and stuff on the
damage.
board. Yeah, I mean if you get
Yeah.
Death Rattle like that, then Umbra can be a cool card. Cheap, like a cheap small minions that can do that.
How about Rathion? Wouldn't Rathion be played if you could
What's
include
Rath-
2 copies of him in a dragon deck?
Oh,
the
Rathion.
taunt
oh,
that
yeah,
draws
yeah,
a dragon.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Or stops
Nah,
drawing
I
until
still
you
wouldn't
find a
play him.
non-dragon card.
I
Are you
mean,
sure?
Curator's still
Is it-
better than
You
him.
get
in my
you
opinion.
play 3 then. You play Curator and 2 Rathions. Wouldn't he just be
Yeah.
played by default?
He might be. He'd be considered maybe a little bit more, but I mean, I don't even want to play one of him right now. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't.
I
know
think
if wanna
Rathian would
play
be a
two.
lot better if it was a dragon. It's
Yeah, if he was a dragon,
Rathian.
that would have been maybe an auto play actually.
Yeah.
Actually, right now,
Mayor
especially.
Noggin
Right
Fogger.
now. Yogg.
Oh.
You can play 2 Yogs. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see. We got one other question, which was pertaining to. Actually, we probably answered in terms of our discussion about how much it costs to play, but all right. Well, I think that's going to be it, guys. We want to wrap up. Thanks, folks, for writing in your questions. And if we didn't get to your questions, then go ahead and write them in again. I think generally, when it comes to like Mechatorps and stuff, in between Mechatorps, there's been some confusion as to when we do cards and stuff. I think from now on, like when we're in between Mechatorps, all the emails that come in between Mechatorps are all in play. But once we do a Mechatorps, just it kind of starts over. So resend in those, and then questions each week. Just send them in. But Toast, man, it's been fun, been great talking decks, because I mean I watch the stream all the time, so I get a chance to see you play a lot of those decks. But getting a chance to really dig in, you don't really get necessarily have that chance on stream all the time since you're entertaining. It's good to analyze some stuff with you.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. On Grow's been great so far. Right now, I'm just trying to hit Legend so I can play with fun decks. It's a struggle trying to hit Legend.
Is it? Okay.
Oh, really? Some people are just
I've been
it's so
struggling.
easy with like Miracle. I haven't gotten it either, but it's like Miracle was like super easy, or this was super easy. I'm like, really?
Play honestly, dude. Play Token Druid. You'll close
Yeah.
your eye, like you'll be done by the time you stream next time.
I know people that have gotten there easy with Token Druid too. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought
but,
you got there with a priest, no? Like when I was the other day.
I got to rank 2 with Priest and rank 1 5 stars with Ramp Druid, and now I'm sitting at rank 1 1 star, and it's like trying to figure out how to just get there with the final push. I don't want to play like a super aggro deck, even though
Astonishing.
yeah, there's so much rogues there. It's like I want to just slam Pyro Warrior and just beat the hell out of them, but it's like let's try and find something a bit better.
It's trying to keep you on.
Yeah, honor is a big deal.
Yeah, dude,
Man,
I
I will
agree,
say
man, totally.
something though about the meta and climbing right now. I've never been so frustrated with the whole swap your deck, get countered luck. Like that has
Mhm.
been just dreadful.
Yeah.
I can't count the number of times where I'm like, oh, I feel like mid-range hunters should be good right now. All I face are these weird taunt warriors, and I can, beat them up with big Houndmasters, Dinomancy shenanigans. Next up on CNN is a warrior deck that beats you to the ground by the time you've actually taken a breath, and it's just what happened? Like,
Yeah,
where did
it's
it
like
go wrong?
you're on a roll, and then you run into a
Yeah.
warrior that beats you in 4 turns. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
or 5 turns. Sorry, 5 turns.
Yeah.
But
it's exciting times.
Yeah. Got any shout outs we want to do? Where can people find you? If they don't even know already, but
They can find me at Disguised Toast HS on Twitch and at
Yeah.
Disguised Toast on Twitter.
yeah, you can see it right there. It's down below on each of
Down.
our
Oh
channels.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hit this to subscribe. Don't forget to follow. Smash that like button.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Smash it. Like, you
Smash
know
it,
your
that's
YouTube
right.
marketing, whereas
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention too that I probably should mention, given that you're doing it, is that we're doing Streamer Showdown on Tuesday, guys, before next Value Town, and the three of us are actually part of this. It's just I'm not on this thing. I'm actually the person that makes this graphic for everybody. But Noxious is going to be hosting. Disguised Toast, obviously, our returning 4-time champ. 4, 5, 4,
Champ.
4 or 5-time
I
champ.
don't know.
Yeah.
I've won so much, it's hard to keep track.
But Trump and Firebat, they won another round at you, so they're gonna go at it. You know what's crazy, Toast, is that I talked to. Oh, by the way, it's gonna be on Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, and it's gonna be on Toast's stream. So definitely check that out if you enjoyed the last one we did with Crip and Toast and Ben Brode and Nox. But you know, I talked to a lot of the players, and they all want to do Streamer Showdown, but they don't want to go against you because they think they know nothing compared to you. So.
I mean, but like whoever beats me will get so much glory. Though.
I might have to. We might have to do King of the Hill with you soon, where you're just
It's
like
true.
you're the king over here, and then we have to have some qualification rounds to actually go against the king. So we'll figure out that, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for you guys to check that out. Noxious, should we do some shout outs?
Yeah, shout out to Complexity as usual. I mean, these guys are practicing a lot, I know, and testing out a bunch of cool novel decks. In the meantime, if you guys want to check me out, it's Noxious_GG on Twitch and Noxious GLHF on YouTube. Smash that button or something.
Smash
it
or something.
Smash it!
Yes, definitely do that. And I'll just round things out thanking the two of you guys for doing the show with me today. It was amazing. And, of course, all of you guys for watching. The VODs will be up on YouTube as usual at ChanManV or youtube.com/ChanManV. And you can follow me also and do the whole smashing follows and all that good button. And even the subscribe buttons here, too. But also, the iTunes will be up a little bit later tonight. You can check that out. I do a show tomorrow, too, that a lot of people don't know about, spoiler alerts, where we watch like movies and TV shows, comics, animes, and then we kind of review them. And some of them are old, actually. We try not to do only new stuff, but we're doing the OA tomorrow on Elohim's stream. If you want to check that out, and you can find the VODs for that show also on the YouTube channel. So encourage you guys to check that out because we review just all the popular shows that I'm sure all of us watch. The Westworlds and things like that. So if you're interested in that, give it a look. But that's going to be it for Value Town this week. So for Disguised Toast, Noxious, and myself, ChanManV, we'll see you next week. Later.